Good evening, folks. Welcome to another beautiful evening with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn, and I have an amazing astrologer that you will get to meet in just a few moments. In the meantime, I want you all to give your birthdays, things of that nature. It's going to be very, very interesting. She's an intuitive astrologer. So, yes, she does astrology, but she also is on another level too that you'll get to see. Before I start, I need to let you know our sponsors is brought to you by U-Juice. They are sugar-free energy. Okay, they have these three. In fact, I'm about to order another case. I get the one on the left. I like the passion one. That's my choice. But they sponsor the show. Empress Rel, the moderator, is going to post where you get it. It's levittstore.com to order it. So they've changed the address where you order, but then go there. Also, Nicholas Brooklyn out in 1396 Fulton Street. They are sponsoring the show. They are entering their 51st year of being in business. And also another sponsor is Jazz Aphrodite, who is having a class for this 14th on Valentine's Day, which will be part of the topic we will be talking about with my very special guest today. But she will be giving a class. Also is being sponsored by Manifest on Purpose with Miss Kimberly, who has her podcast every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. It's almost 5 days in a week now. She's just stretching out, bless her soul. Also, in Kuru, he is having a tour in Nairobi. He's talking about precious metals. Hopefully, I'll have him on back talking about precious metals of gold and silver and platinum, palladium, rhodium, all these other things. And that seems to be the conversation going on now. But to attend his event on the 21st, just go to Eventbrite. And before I bring on my very distinguished guest, I do want to let you know that this is the Cosmic Forecast for today. Please like, share, and subscribe. I will never ask anybody for money. Anybody who pretends to DM you to get a reading from me, no, I don't do that. People more reach out to me than I to them. In fact, I never do. I never have, by the way, since I started. Today is Wednesday. It's the 12th of February. We're still in the sign of Aquarius. The moon is in Leo, but as of 8:07 in about another hour, the moon will switch from Leo into Virgo. So you moms who are having children after 8 p.m. tonight, your child's moon will be in the sign of Virgo. For those that's in flux between this time and roundabout after 8, your moon will be void of course, which is a whole nother energy. It's another way of saying you got a foot in one sign and a foot about to go into the other sign. It's an 11 universal month, a 4 universal week, a 5 universal day for those under the signs of Gemini and Virgo, or if you're born on the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd. Well, this should be an interesting day for you. And before I bring on my guest, you got the Super Bowl junkies. There's still some things going on. So I want to kind of mention a couple of things. When they're talking about one of the things they talked about was how Kendrick Lamar's Showtime generated so many views. They said 130 million, 133.5 million views, and it broke Michael Jackson's record. Congratulations if that's true. But when Super Bowl first started in 1967, it only started out with marching bands. And one of the first bands was the Grambling Band from Grambling State University. It was a Black Historic College. Then it was also the University of Arizona. These were the two bands. And so every year, the Super Bowls would have bands. In fact, with Grambling, they did it in 1967, they did it in 1968, they did it in 1975, 1980, and they did it in 1987 too. So they kind of set a record for marching bands throughout the Super Bowl. But what happens is the following year, there was a prediction that I made at WKYS radio station in Washington, D.C., 93.9 FM. And in there, I was a guest on the show with Donnie Simpson and Tony Perkins. They were popular. I think Donnie Simpson is still in radio, still just as popular. But at that time, I made a prediction that the Redskins would win the Super Bowl. It was in September of 1988. I have the documents for it. Those people can get the transcript. ABC called me upstairs to make the same prediction. although I was nervous as heck. But what happens is they had a person there named Doug Williams. Doug Williams was the first African American to start as a quarterback, okay, for the Washington Redskins, jersey number 17. He was born on August the 9th of 1955. And he not only started the Super Bowl, he won the Super Bowl too. And that was in 1988. So what happens is they says, okay, things was getting a little dull. Let us get somebody on to start really taking this Super Bowl to the next level. Thus came Michael Jackson in 1993. So on January the 31st of 1993 in Pasadena, California, he made an appearance that just rocked everybody. All right. So it was very, very interesting. He did that. But then came the one this past Sunday with Kendrick Lamar during the halftime performance. Now, if you notice, he generated 133 or 133.5 million views, where Michael Jackson did it in 1993. So we're talking about over 20 odd years. It took almost 30 years to just get it up to 3 points. It's a 3-point differential, by the way, for those that are into numerical stats. All right. So I think that's interesting. But what they didn't say was this. This is very interesting. If you look at it, that he did. Now, they said he did not break the record. So, but here's what's interesting to me, that what they didn't say about Kendrick Lamar. Okay, so Kendrick Lamar may have gotten, but by the way, you know what's back in style now? Bell-bottom jeans. Okay, that's what he wore. So now that's a fad again. That was during the 80s. But now the bell-bottom jeans are back in style. So you're going to see a lot of stores selling wide bottom jeans. Okay, that's how that goes, such as the trend of things. But what is interesting is that although he generated that many views for the Super Bowl, what Michael Jackson did was he also worldwide 1.3 billion worldwide watched that. That's never been done. So if anybody knows how many worldwide views that Kendrick Lamar got, please share it with me. So, you know, when I was studying psychology in school, it was called the argument of the beard. So it's 133.5, 113.4. In the world of sports, just a fraction of a second makes you the winner. But I'm curious as to whether his performance generated 1.3 billion worldwide. That's a whole different energy. So with that, I'm going to change the subject and bring on my very wonderful guest. Her name is Lisa Salvatore. How are you, Lisa?
Hello, I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having
Fine,
me.
thank you, thank you. Well, you know, Valentine is coming up this week, and you were
hmm
talking about something very interesting before we went on. And you was explaining that it's not so much the sun sign we should look at, but what positions is Venus and the moon?
Right. For your own personal astrology, you want to look at your own Venus and your own moon. What house this falls in, the placements, the signs, the condition of your moon and Venus, and how well you know yourself. Because in order to have a great relationship with others, whether it's romantic, platonic, business, whatever, you have to know thyself, right? To thy own self be true. So it's really interesting because a lot of people are now very much into astrology, and they get it that it's such a larger concept than just, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Scorpio, you do this, I do that. It's not cookie cutter, it's much deeper. And when you get into the layers of the onion, like I call astrology, a never ending onion, because you're constantly
Mhm.
peeling back layers to reveal something else. And it's just so mind blowing when you really start to dig into it. And there's a lot more to it than just the sun sign. So, yes, long winded way of saying that when you're talking about love, you really want to look at your Venus and your moon first and foremost. And then there's a lot of other things in there as well. But
You know, there was a popular book out a couple of years ago called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And
yes.
they talked about that kind of thing, that for
Mhm.
a woman, if you want to kind of see about the male attractions, you look at her Venus, Capricorn, her Mars position. And
Yes.
with the men, you do that in reverse. Where is the Venus connected in a man's chart, which will kind of give an indication of the kind of woman? Is that true?
Not
Or what
really.
do you
I
think?
mean, So it's a lot more advanced than that. It's because we all have the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies within us. So it's really more about the masculine and the feminine. So women also hold masculine energy and men hold feminine energy. So it's really both. You really have to look at both. So
Mm-hmm.
Mars will show you what you're drawn in by and what like gets your goat, as they say, like what strokes your fire, where Venus is more about what you're drawn to and what you find pleasing and how you tend to attract it and what you are attracted to. So they work together, but there's some differences there as well.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
But especially the Venus part with what you are attracted to. Would
Right.
that mean also the choice of food, the choice of
Hmm.
clothes, the choice
Yeah.
of location and whatnot?
Yes. Yes.
That's
Venus is
interesting.
also very much our aesthetic taste. So it's what we like. It's for example, the colors we're drawn to, the food we like to eat. It's also about our money. You know, Venus is the value that we place on ourselves, our relationships, our money, our finances. It's also about balance, equality, because Venus rules over the signs of both Taurus and Taurus and Libra.
Mm-hmm.
And Libra is all about relationships, where Taurus is more about that sensuality and the senses. So this is Venus. You know, Venus kind of encompasses all of this.
Yeah, because I think the second house is ruled by Taurus, which is the house of possessions or money or other
Yes.
goodies like that on a
Yeah.
material plane.
And I
Okay.
will look at the second house for it when I'm doing compatibility analysis also, because it's a very physical house. So it's where we feel also, and it often gets overlooked.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have people give their birthdays, which is piling up already. And because we're going to try to help you for Valentine's Day. Um, what do you now, in my experience, when people come to me, it's either more about finance or romance and finance. What say
Mhm.
you?
Yes, absolutely. And one big one that I have been getting, I always receive this, but more so lately, what is my purpose? What am I here for? Am I on the right track? I get
Hmm.
that a lot.
Okay,
So,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Because I think we all need to know what journey we're on and why we're going through that,
Yes,
you
exactly.
know. Now, from your perspective as an astrologer, how do you make that determination? Me as a numerologist, to find out their purpose, I take the month, the day, and the year they're born, whatever those three numbers add up to as a single digit, that is
Mhm.
their destiny or course of the journey they take. What do you use, if that makes sense?
Okay, so well, first, I just want to give you kudos for a moment, Lloyd, because I never understood numerology. I knew it existed and I understood the basics of it, but I couldn't grasp how it could really describe us, right?
Hmm.
Until you did my numbers. And I was blown away because so many things made so much sense that I could never correlate with my astrology
Hmm.
when you did my numbers for me. And having said that, the way all of these modalities bring us back to soul, bring us back to self, and really do mimic and mirror back the same sentiment, but just different. It's so fascinating to me. So with astrology, if somebody says to me, you know, what am I here for? What is my purpose? I look at a lot of different things. I'll definitely look at their ascendant, and then I will look at the planet that rules the ascendant, and I'll see what are they doing with the energy of this planet, with the energy of their ascendant. How is that working in their everyday life? I will obviously look at the moon because that's what's going to fulfill them emotionally speaking.
Hmm. Hmm.
I will look at their midheaven, which is high noon, the top of the chart,
Hmm.
obviously, as you know, because that would show the traits of and the energy of what they would feel most accomplished about, because that is the house of accomplishments. The midheaven is at the top, at the 10th house. So this is going to talk about what we're here to do, what we want to bring out into the world, the legacy we wish to leave behind, large or small, it doesn't matter. And oftentimes I find that halfway through someone's journey, they tend to flip into either a career or a hobby, whatever it is that mimics the midheaven if they were not doing it previously, because they
Hmm.
get to that point, like the crisis windows, right? Where we sit there and say, what am I doing? I
Yeah.
hate this job.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate
When you
this
hit the
family life,
wall.
right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
more, there's got to be more. And what is that more? I feel it because again, all of these, the birth chart, the numbers, they're the compass of the soul. So the soul is telling you, hey, I know there's more for me, but I just have to figure it out. Right.
Hmm.
So
Now,
those are just some of the things.
before we proceed, I want to ask you this: there are different types of astrologers.
Yes.
You're my first intuitive astrologer. What do you
Okay.
mean in your case, intuitive? I know
Okay.
intuitive means you feel something, you got to inner.
Right.
Yes.
Intuitive is just okay. So since I was a small child, little girl, I just vividly, I've always felt very connected to something larger outside of myself, to spirit, to soul, however you want to say it.
Hmm.
And I just kind of knew things, just inherently, just knew them. And one of the things I was always very well versed with from a very young age was the zodiac. And I really didn't know how or why I knew it at the time, but I did. And so when I was about 11, I really began to read about astrology. I read about Linda Goodman's book, the sun
Yeah, I
sign
did
book.
too.
And then
Yeah,
that
yeah.
took me into the moon signs. And that's where my whole world opened up. So anyway, all of that to say, I basically mostly practice Western tropical astrology, but I focus on the evolution of the soul. So it's got the evolutionary astrology bend, but I also tap into Vedic astrology. So I use both when I do my readings, but
Hmm.
mainly Western. Intuitive means, as I'm working with my clients, I'm also very connected to spirit. I do get a lot of vision. So I'll be doing the birth chart and their grandmother might pop in, and want to say something. And I just go in that direction. I always joke that I have psychic ADD because I just, you come for one thing and you always get what you need, not necessarily what you always want. So I
Exactly.
just go with it. It's like whatever comes through. But yes, of course, there's the technical piece of the astrology, and I do
Sure,
use that.
sure. Yeah,
So
we can't leave that out.
yeah. So
But
that's,
spirit plays a part too,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
So boy, we have a lot of people lined up. Okay, I gotta tell you. All right, all right. I see somebody made some comments already about the Michael Jackson, Kendrick Lamar thing. I guess it's about stats and getting some. Let me go back from the top. Okay. Wow, we have a boatload. Now, I tell you this, folks. There's so many of you. We won't be able to read everybody. And I asked her, Lisa, to kind of keep it short, sweet, and to the point. And it's not deliberate, but this way we can get to more people. Just only once, please. Just do this. Okay, let's see. Let's start at the top here. Our first one is Donnie Joe. Um, they said if you're doing readings, they're born on the 27th. Their birthday is in about a week and a half of 1986.
Okay. Well, first thing, I'm sorry, Donnie Joe. First
Yeah.
thing is your birthday this year is falling on a really nice new moon in Pisces. So there's going to be a Pisces new moon on February 27th,
And they're
which is,
Pisces on their
yeah.
birthday.
Yeah. So that's great for you for really setting some intentions, doing some self reflection, trusting your intuition, because I feel like you are very intuitive. You are a Pisces, and Pisces tends to be very intuitive, very connected, but they don't necessarily always believe or trust what they're receiving if it's not logical, right? They want the logic behind it. So I would tell you that this is going to be a year for you of really learning and understanding how to work with your natural intuition, especially when it comes to healing. I don't know why I feel like you're in some kind of a healing profession or you want to go in that direction, but also it's about healing yourself through your experiences with what you're trying to do next, if that makes sense. And I will also tell you, you have been dealing with Saturn for a little while here, and Saturn is going to be, Saturn's the taskmaster. So he asks us to get serious about what we want. So I would just say to you, really allow yourself to go into those intuitive spaces and meditate and think about what's going to make your soul feel the most fulfilled. Because I do feel you had a challenging year last year, but going into this next birthday year for you, it will feel lighter and you will start to actually see, especially because the North Node is in Pisces now, when we start to have these eclipses over the next 15 to 18 months, you're going to see doors start to open for you, large and small. And it's just up to you to really be true and honest with what you want and not just do things that other people want you to do. You have to do what you truly want to do. Okay. I hope
Okay,
that makes
good.
sense.
We have next Susan Jenkins. She is December the 20th.
Solstice baby.
Sagittarius.
A solstice baby. Okay. So, Susan, I also feel, have been dealing with quite a bit of stress, especially when it comes to the home life. It might even have been like something having to do with a physical move, wanting to travel, for example, and you haven't been able to due to outside circumstances. that will shift for you, especially the first half of this year. But I do think that you want to be very mindful about your health, mind, body, spirit. Make sure everything is connecting. Okay. I feel like you're fine, but you just have to make sure that everything is connecting before you take your next steps forward. But I do think that this upcoming year will be more productive for you.
Very good. What about Sue Gaddenby? They are January 25th. They've got a birth. No, they just had a birthday.
Yeah.
Aquarius.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. So for Sue, I think a lot of our Aquarians, especially the earlier dates here, are feeling the Pluto, the Sun Pluto energy. So there's this push to, it's almost like not taking, stuff anymore from outside sources and finally standing up and saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to live my life for me here. Career changes, moves, relationship changes, letting go of what isn't working and not feeling guilty about it. It's very important that you drop the guilt because that is not going to help you. So remember, guilt is a wasteless emotion. We all experience it. But for you, especially right now, it's going to help you to move forward if you try to release that guilt, let it go.
That's interesting, Lisa, because people try to put other people on a guilt trip. What is that about?
All the time. And when you're highly sensitive, right? It's like you don't want to upset anybody. And it's almost like manipulation if you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm,
when somebody tries to guilt you or they want you to do something that you don't really want to do, it's like they're trying to manipulate you into doing it. And it's just most of the time we know what's happening, but we'll fall into it because
they feel the worst too when it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so amazing.
Yep.
Okay, we have Jefferson 322.
Aries. Okay, so you will be having a major reevaluation of your relationships and all of your relationship dynamics because Venus, the planet of love and money and other things here, Venus is going to have what we call her retrograde beginning on March 1st. And that is going to go through your birthday. And then Venus will actually move back into Pisces. But all of that to say for you, there's going to be this, I always say when the planets station retrograde, they're doing their moonwalk. They're going backwards, right? So all of the energies of the planets tend to get a little, it's an invitation for us to go inward. It's not bad. It's just an invitation for us to go inward and really think back on the past. So you'll be thinking a lot about your relationships that are in your life now, relationships that are no longer in your life. Perhaps you will reconnect with others from the past, whether it's friends, family, etc. And it's really about, what I would say to you is make sure you're living out of your heart space, but you're recognizing where you have the potential to be the, let's say, the saboteur of your own relationships, sabotaging yourself in relationships.
Yeah, self-sabotage. Yeah. And sometimes we can be very good at that. Nobody do that better than we at times,
Absolutely.
What about Miss Waters? She's a borderline case, which has nothing to do with the mental state of mind.
Yeah. So I'm going to go more Taurus here on this one for sure. I think, and I might be, I think Taurus are set to have a little bit easier of a year in some ways, but because you're the earlier degrees here, you're dealing with some Pluto stuff. So you're going to be feeling stretched to empower yourself. Like you're not going to, your confidence could take a little bit of a hit. So you just have to remember that that's happening here and that you're going to be thinking a lot about the past and a lot about the things you feel you have not done. And I know, being one myself, that Taurus can get very stuck in their ways. Okay. And it's very difficult to change our minds when we think and know we're right? Because we're always right, Elaine? But you should definitely.
That's true.
Be flexible. Yeah. Think of yourself as an acrobat this year. Seriously, on the metaphorical levels, think about yourself as an acrobat. You're going to have a lot of different things coming at you. And underneath all of that, the goal is for you to feel more empowered. And through that, you will have some tension. But I also feel your finances will be good this year, Elaine.
Very good. What about JBR, November 6th of Scorpio? Earth.
Okay. So, the thing is with the Scorpio energy for 2025, I really feel like, again, a lot of this, you're going to hear me say relationships for all the signs because it is a very big, important time for
Yeah.
relationships of all kinds. Because what's happening is there's a huge shift that's taking place, energetically. All of us are experiencing this, and we're all feeling like, listen, like I always say, what's outdated must be upgraded. Okay. So that goes for everything in our lives, for including our relationships. And going back to what Lloyd said about the guilt, because I feel like this is important for JBR, you cannot stay in places because you feel guilty or because you feel bad. If it's not genuinely and truly what you want, you are not doing anybody any favors, because chances are the other side of that feels that energy as well. And you might be blocking them from their karma. Think of it that way. So try to spin it a different way. I feel like that's important for you to know. Like, you cannot stay places out of your guilt. You have to release it.
Yeah, and it's a terrible feeling to be put on a guilt trip too,
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Rule, January 26th in Aquarius, they just had a birthday too.
Another Aquarian. Okay. So I feel it's hard because I can't see comments or anything, but I feel like this individual's been having very enhanced dreams, like weird, like there might be just symbols and messages and all of these things coming through the dream space. I highly suggest that you also work on opening up your intuition or developing it differently. I feel like some of your own, because we all have abilities, everybody does, right? Your own unique abilities are trying to come through you, the way that you interpret information, the way your intuition is speaking through you. You're not going crazy, Angela, so you have to follow that. You have to work with that a little bit more.
All right, good. Emerson, they are born December 16th. Now they're born in the morning. So that means I think their sun should be around about in the second house, the second or the first house, somewhere around there.
Yes. And so for you, this is a year of, when I say year, excuse me, I'm talking about your birthday year. So from when you had your birthday till your next birth date. Okay. So this year for you is all about your value. It's very much focused on your financial value, of course, what you're doing with your money, investing, investments, your own personal bank account. And what I want to say to you too is you definitely need to check your credit card statements, because there could be some like silly little fraudulent things going on that you're not aware of. So definitely check out, I just got that. So definitely check out your statements. But financially speaking, this should be a very positive year for you. What I will say though, is you don't need to do anything, but I would suggest that you really focus on ways to calm down your nervous system, because I just feel like your nerves are you're very activated. Okay. And there's something about going inward, meditating, do what do you call the nervous regulation meditations. My brain is not working with it right now. There's a parasympathetic, and sympathetic meditations would be very good for you. It's calming down your nervous system is going to be very helpful.
Good. What about Juan Wanaka? 3-3.
Pisces.
Got a birthday coming up.
Pisces. So I do feel like a lot of the Pisces energy, I'm excited for them, because I feel like they're turning a corner as we move throughout this year. Again, you've been dealing with a lot of the Saturn energy, and that can feel a little bit heavy and somber and restrictive at times, even a little depressing. So especially if you've been slightly depressed or feeling like, lonely, you should start to feel like the sun is rising here and things are going to start to shift. And your purpose, what you believe to be, what will make you feel good, your purpose is going to start to feel more obvious and fulfilling as you move throughout this year.
Great. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let me see. All righty. Oh, we have Nina V. They're born March the 28th at 3:07 a.m.
Through the computer, I feel Nina's energy, very vivacious. I can just tell she's got this very strong spirit. And I want to remind, hear her of this, that your spirit is much stronger than whatever else is trying to take you down right now. And you are a genuine, true warrior. I just can feel your energy. So stay in that space and just keep moving ahead with what you're doing, and you will bust through all your goals.
That makes sense to me, because they are a fire sign with a fire number, and fire is no joke. What about Beverly Ewan? She's February the 4th. Happy belated birthday to you, young lady.
Got a lot of Aquarians tonight. A lot
Yeah.
of Aquarians.
Have you ever noticed when you've done shows or appeared somewhere that there are people that come in with certain signs that
Yes.
it tends to dominate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the number. So go
Absolutely.
ahead
And
with
even
Beverly.
like a period of time with readings, because a lot of times I'll book out in advance. And even with that, you'll notice like a cluster of Gemini
Yeah,
moons or
yeah,
the Pisces Virgo nodal acts. Like it's
yeah.
really funny because it's almost like their
It's almost
soul
as
telling
they're in
them,
sync with each other,
yep,
you know?
yeah, it's like it's time to book a reading. And then it's funny how that works, right? So this particular Aquarian, Beverly, I feel is very sensitive, extremely sensitive to energy. And right off the bat, I feel like whatever you're doing on the daily, your environment, you absolutely need to be focusing on energy protection, looking into ways to kind of insulate yourself from pulling in everybody else's stuff, because I feel like you do that. And, we all do that without even realizing it, especially if you have children, grandchildren, you're at work with a bunch of people and you're very sympathetic and empathetic, you will pull in a lot of that energy. So you just need to be mindful, Beverly, because I feel like you're absolutely just very spongy, and working on protecting your energy this year is going to be very significant for you. You'll see a lot of positivity with that.
I like how you put that, very spongy. I like
Spongy, yeah.
that. I like that. Okay, let's see who else we have next. And thanks everybody for all the kindness and whatnot. Let me see. Teresa is saying happy Wednesday, and I have some of the best sponsors. I mean, the best viewers. I mean, really, really, really. They know how to make a man feel good.
Aw.
Okay, they
Well,
really do.
you're great, Lloyd. You're fantastic. So
You
you
know.
deserve it.
And Donnie Joe said, "Thank you, Victor." They didn't even know, so they appreciate that. See,
You're
this
very
is what
welcome.
I'm talking about. Okay. All right. It is. And JB says, hi, Lisa, to
Hello.
you. And
Hello.
Pat R says, hi, Lisa.
Hi.
So, okay, let's see. Uh-oh. Joni James says, I've been following Lisa for a while. Love her.
Aw,
Well, I
thank
like the
you.
energy.
Me
That's how
too.
we connected. You
Yeah,
know what
that's
I'm
great.
saying?
Yep.
And it's just interesting. We have another famous astrologer. In fact, I'm going to be on his show tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Big E. He's out in Arizona.
Cool.
Okay. And he has the most beautiful wife, too.
Aw.
Okay. People saying cheers. So got a lot of.
Cheers.
Now, somebody says their moon is in Cancer.
Oh, moon baby.
And with Big E, he says Venus is the wife and Jupiter is the husband. Would you agree with that statement? Or what do
Yeah.
you think?
No, yeah. Yeah,
That kind of makes sense.
it does. Yeah.
You know, I started most to say Mars would be, but Mars is so assertive, though. Maybe that's not what you do. Okay, now Sproul asked this question: how do you determine your moon and your Venus? And that's simple for us, but
Yes.
explain it.
Yes. Well, what you would do is you can take your data, well, the moon is a little bit easier to determine because, well, I don't want to get too technical with ephemeruses and things like that, but
Yeah,
the most basic way is you can go to a free website like astro.com, astro.com. You can put in your data and it will pop up your birth chart. And it actually has a table underneath that will tell you where the moon was by the exact time of your birth.
yeah,
And your
yeah.
Venus position and all of that. So obviously, it gets tricky when we're talking about precision, because if a planet's getting ready to turn and you don't have your exact birth time, if you're right at the edge, it's very, very significant. So you want to try to get your accurate birth time. I've had clients where I've told them, please call your mother, call the hospital, get the records, because it makes a big difference. Even if you're off by like 13 minutes, depending on what the planets are doing.
Yeah,
right?
because there's such constant movement. It's interesting. I was at a health fair this weekend, and a person that came to me and said they don't know their exact time of birth. I know there are astrologies or astrologing techniques supposedly
Yes.
that will help you whittle it through a series of questions about what happened, your first accident, or
rectification
something of that nature. The rectification charts.
Yes.
Because now yellow butterfly says, can you tell me my other signs if you place it? But here's what, even if you do yellow butterfly, place your information in there, that would require an ephemeris. And what we're doing is, because we've got so many in the room, that it would take a while. She would have to look it up, maybe put it on the computer. But I can tell you this, they have a lot of online like I think as Astrozone or as Astro something, where you can go and just put in your own information and see your chart like that.
Yep.
Or better yet, make sure you contact Miss Salvatore for a session who can go into those details. Okay, that
I
would be
also do have, Lloyd, just on my website, which is my name, lisasalvatore.com. There's a free birth chart generator, and you can actually put in your data there and it'll pop up your information. And under my courses tab, I have some free resources too that will show you. It's a tutorial on how you can look at the chart and see, what's going on, the major things there. So I like to try and give, obviously I can't do full readings, that way, but I like to try and give as much so that people can figure it out for themselves, because it's such an empowering tool when you really know even just the basics.
And all your information is right there in the banner. Is that
Thank
correct?
you. Thank you. Yes.
Lisa?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So for you, yellow butterfly, just go right there. Now, which of those she should go to?
LisaSalvatore.com, my website.
Okay, good. Go to the
Mhm.
website, lisasalvatore.com. In fact, I'm gonna look it up myself. And you know what is so interesting now, amazing with the technology, you can just go on Google and put in your birthday. You can say, well, what day was I
Yeah.
born in that
Yeah.
month, day, and year? All
Yeah.
kinds of stuff is available now on YouTube. Okay.
I
So
always like to give this example, Lloyd, because you'll appreciate this. I have a client who has twins, and they're 1 minute apart. And the difference in that 1 minute is that one of them has a 29-degree Sagittarius ascendant and the other one has a 0-degree Capricorn, and they're completely different energies. So you see, even that 1 minute
yeah.
can make a massive difference in the person's energy and experiences.
In fact, Lisa, I love to do twins.
Yeah, me too.
Even though they look identical,
Yeah.
but basically there's a nuance between the both of them. Yes, they all
Always.
have similar things, like maybe wear the same clothes
Right.
or live in the same township, but there's always something distinctly different between the two. I've
Absolutely.
never failed to deal with twins where there isn't that nuance of a difference somewhere in their aspect. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's get back to some of the comments here. See, we do this. Deborah Nuthall, she's born July the 6th in
At 11.
Philadelphia, 11 a.m. So that means her son was in the 12th house. I mean, excuse me, the 10th house.
Yeah. So Cancer, 10th house Cancer sun is definitely going to struggle with their need to achieve with their need for privacy. So I feel like there's going to always be this delicate dance that Deborah does throughout her life where it's like, well, I want more, but I don't want them to look at me, but I deserve that. And I should be out there. That should be mine, but I don't want them to look at me. There's always going to be this back and forth energy that you carry about the public and then the personal. And even maybe sometimes getting a little annoyed when people try to push you forward and push you out there, even though deep down that's what you want. So it's really interesting. I feel like you have a lot of, you're like what do they call the extroverted introvert, the ambivert, right? Is that what they call it? Yeah.
So I
like
jokingly say bipolar, but I let them know it's not mental.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that for you, this is, so I'm so bad at adding in my head. So 1956 makes Deborah what age?
She would be 60. No, she would be 70. She would be 70, 73, I think.
So she's actually, Deborah, you're actually going through what we would call the nodal return. So with the Pisces Virgo here. So this is definitely going to be an important year for you in feeling like things are kind of settling in and getting you on track, even with some disruptions that could feel quite emotional when it comes to family dynamics, but it's also better for you and healthier for you.
Okay, good. We have DS here. They born November 6th.
Another November 6th. We had that one before.
Yeah, back to back. Yeah.
Just not even astrologically, I do feel, I'm curious if he could answer this quickly, if he's into, like, if he does something with music. What's with music?
I don't know, but I would say he has all the artistic numbers. His numbers are the 3, 9, and 6, and that's considered the creative and artistic family. They
Okay.
wind up being painters and musicians and
Yeah.
actors and dancers, or something connected with theater. And I found that even if they're not in the arts, they become patrons of the arts, going
Hmm.
to concerts, going to openings and things like that. I found been my experience.
Yeah, because I was
Well,
gonna. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no. So that's how I was saying. That's all about him. It's a six. But what say you though about that though?
Well, I was gonna say is I was picking up on something going on with him with music. Like there's going to be either whether he might just be doing this personally or if it's for professionally for career. There was some sort of like a musical opening that was coming through for him that would be important for him as he moves into next year, and just to keep moving in that direction.
Well, I know he's in a big year this year and even more so next year. I would have
Okay.
to agree with you.
Okay.
And this is a person that born in Austria, which is very interesting. We have people coming from wide, near, and far.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
that's awesome.
see. This person says, Grand evening, Lloyd, Lisa, Empress Rel, and the Live with Lloyd family. They would like to take a stab at it tonight. Quintella has a name, and they're born January the 31st of 1987.
Okay. So the number four keeps Lloyd. I don't know numbers. You're the numbers guy, but the number four just came right
I
up to
see
me
that too.
as
Yeah.
I'm looking at her, picture, and I feel like the four has something to do with like a number of people in the family, like four children. She's one of four. Something with the number four is very significant for her, and I feel like she might even have been seeing 444. Like there's a message there for her about her foundation, her home life, and her stability. And it's like it's just I want to say to you to just hang tight because you're getting there. It might take a few more months, but you're getting there. So don't give up hope.
Good. Money Green is there July the 9th, 59.
Another Cancer. I'm noticing the patterns, right?
Yeah,
Aquarius.
me
Cancer.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
So I feel like this again. I feel like this is a full moon baby. I don't know why. I'm getting the full moon baby. Like this. This is a person who feels like their life might always be in crisis mode, but then there's always a turnover right after. So I feel like you might be in that point right now where the turnover is about to happen, and there is financial increase that comes through here for you too. Oh, and your name's Money Green. I just I just saw
Now,
that.
this Rebecca Phillips, I think she's been on my show before. She says hi to both of us. She said
Hello.
she has watched you, in fact, on other interviews
Oh,
and
cool.
found your work quite fascinating. See,
Thank you.
this way, it's not you talking about you. See, that's what I love. It's like totally outside of it. They would love an astrological reading by her as well. So she's born July the 10th, 1959 at Little Rock, Arkansas at 6:59 a.m. So that means without question, her sun
12
is
hours.
in the 12th house,
Yes.
also Pisces.
Yeah. So super duper. Rebecca, are you a nurse? I'm just curious if you're also in the medical fields or in a medical profession, healing profession. But if you're not, um, you would have done very well there. Doesn't mean you have to change anything. I'm just simply saying what I feel. But you're highly intuitive and extremely sensitive and almost like one of my teachers many years ago told me about my moon that it's almost like too sensitive for this world, and I feel the same with you. Like you feel everything so deeply, and especially pain. Like you really feel people's pain. So I said to somebody earlier about protecting their energy. I feel that strongly for you too, especially as we move throughout this year. But also don't be afraid to step out and do what you really want to do and do it differently, because I feel like there could be some family dynamics that keep you feeling like you can't quite get to where you want to go. But what I feel is you need to look at, or you should look at, how you might be sabotaging yourself before you even get your foot in the door. Okay.
Well, this is a powerhouse of a year. I can tell her that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
for sure. That is definitely for sure. Okay. Let's see. We have Iris Cummings. She is born on November 29th.
I feel that Spitfire energy again. I felt with maybe it's the fire energy, the Sagittarius, but I would say to you that this is a year for you to not be afraid to take that trip, for example, that what you've been thinking about doing for even like 2 years plus, it's like, oh, next year I'll do that. Next year I'll go there. This is very important for you to actually make the plan. And what I want to say to you is don't be afraid to live. It's okay when you move on from something. Excuse me, when you move through and you start to do things for yourself, it doesn't mean you're moving on from someone totally or from something. You're moving through it. I feel like you need to know that. So just move through and do something kind for yourself that you've been wanting to do for the last few years.
Let me stop at this point. Now, if Lisa is doing this and actually, and I asked her to kind of keep it within 60 to 90 seconds, which is, there is so much to this. And if you can glean that, then you see why I have her on this show. Because I mean, yes, she got a consultation, but I mean, I was so impressed. I said, "Would you like to be a guest on the show?" So you can see why. Now, this is Strawberry, 1955. They said they would love a reading. They're born at January the 7th in the morning of 7:21 a.m.
Another 12th houser.
Yeah, the sun in 12th house. Exactly right. So
well, it's not surprising that a lot of highly sensitive souls would be watching this, right? Because everyone has sensitivity, but those that are much more, let's say, energetically aware, this is the kind of thing they like to watch. They like to see. They like to see the secrets of the universe, how things play out, how things work. Yeah. And I feel that's how Strawberry is as well, and has always been. And especially as you've moved on throughout your journey here, as you've matured through your journey, you've allowed yourself to tap into this space. But you need to allow yourself to do it more and not be afraid of what other people think. Because I also feel like you're very science-based as well. So you've got that nice balance of the left and right brain, but you tend to let people think that you're more left brain than right brain, but you're actually extremely, I feel like this is a very psychic person, I have to say. Like, everyone is psychic, but let me be clear, but I feel
hers would be to a larger degree, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's interesting. I have two people back to back. I'm going to show you right quick. That one is September the 13th, 81. Okay. And this one is September the 13th, 57. They're back to back.
Okay, so I'll share this message that will apply to both.
Good. I'll switch back and forth as it applies to both. Go right ahead.
This year for you is going to focus strongly on letting go of control of what you cannot control. Okay, that Virgo energy. Remember, we all have every single sign in our chart, and it works in our lives. I know not everybody realizes that, but we all have Virgo energy. So especially for these Virgo individuals, what I would say is sometimes we grip onto things so tightly because we're just so afraid of losing control that what ends up happening is we lose control. So you're really going to be feeling pushed into letting go, especially when it comes to relationships and patterns in relationships that aren't serving you. And you might actually have to take a look at the ways in which you might be trying to control how other people are behaving in dynamics. Okay, so pay attention to your triggers, pay attention to the ways in which you make yourself anxious by trying to control outcomes, because that's what you're going to be working through. And the more these things come up to challenge you, think of it like you're in soul school this year, really strong, especially when we start to have eclipses, because Virgo's the South Node's in Virgo. So it's even going to be further pushing you into releasing everything that is not working, that's going to put you really where you want to be.
Okay, before we move on to the next one, let me ask you this question. Back in November, I think November 19th of last year, Pluto went into the sign of Aquarius and is going to stay there till 2044.
Yes, correct.
As from you as an astrologer and an intuitive astrologer, what does that mean for you? I know Pluto's a planet of transformation.
Yes.
Aquarius is supposed to be the planet of revolution.
Yeah.
So what does that suggest to you as an astrologer?
Well, we have to remember that back in the 1700s, Pluto was last in Aquarius. So it takes a full 248 years around the zodiac. Yeah. So we are rewriting history. And Aquarius is the sign that rules over the future. It's technology, it's science, it's aviation, it's space travel, it's many different things that Aquarius rules over. So Pluto now, the planet of transformation, is going to be knocking down, and has already been doing so for the last decade plus. When Pluto was in Capricorn, we see all of the structures, politically, financially, a lot of things are being exposed and knocked down so that new life can be reborn. Now, we're not always going to like that. That's not always going to feel comfortable. And there is always a dying off process, metaphorically speaking, when we're dealing with Pluto energy. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. So yes, he does rule over death in a lot of different ways, but it's not ever even always physical death. It's about metaphorical death, that which has been before is now permanently going away and something new is coming in to take its place. It's regeneration. But again, that process, it's like the caterpillar to the butterfly. It doesn't always feel pretty. We're not always going to like it. And and Pluto moves very slowly. So this is going to be over a longer span of time. So if you think back to
definitely.
2008, when Pluto first entered Capricorn, right away the recession followed. Remember 2008 was like boom, Pluto entered Capricorn, boom. It was, you can always kind of tell there's these markers in history, these things that happen. And personally speaking, if you are an Aquarius, that doesn't mean you're going to die. I know I just said it's the planet of death. Prepare for rebirth.
It's symbolic. Transformation.
Symbolic. You're shedding the old skin. You're shedding the old armor and you're becoming more empowered. That's a good thing. If you're a Taurus, you're also getting the Pluto energy, but it's what we call by square, which is like a dynamic tension. Again, the result, it might feel a little more challenging, let's just say, but the result of that is growth. Same thing if you're a Scorpio. And if you're a Leo, you're getting it by what we call the opposition, which means, again, this is all about growth and empowerment. But a lot of times we have to lose power in certain situations to reclaim and regain our power in a stronger manner. That's what it's all about.
Listen, time goes by so fast. I said an hour. Can you stay over just a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I gotta have some water though.
Your time.
Drink some water.
Please do. Okay. Morto says they hope having a great evening. They're born November the 19th, 77. Male Scorpio, what's in the cards for them this year? Thinking to start a consulting business this year. Thank us both.
The time is now. Seriously.
I would agree. I would agree looking at the numbers.
I just heard the time is now. And I feel that this August is an important month for you. So whatever you're going to start to work on now, May and then August are two very significant months for you. Definitely check when we have the new moon in, the new moon in Taurus, which I think is on May 16th this year. Cause I feel like that's a significant amount of May 12th. I'm sorry. I have all these dates in my brain, but somewhere between like the 10th and the 20th of May will be important for you.
Okay, good.
I say go for it.
Now, this is our first couple in this sense. Anastasia, she says she is born, she's an Aries and her partner is a Sagittarius. So that makes sense. Fire.
Fire. But the trick with fire and fire, though, is that we can get scorched. Right. So, and in some ways that's great, right? Spices things up, but I'm sure when you argue, it's probably like, combustible. Now, what I will say is that, as I said earlier, the sun signs are just such a small piece of our compatibility. We would really have to look at the moon, how do the moons gel with each other? What do your charts look like overlaid with each other? We would look at that. So that becomes more significant. But just based off the fire dynamics here, I mean, I'm sure the relationship's not boring.
No. And in fact, see, what's interesting to me, they're both fire signs, but he is a fire sign with a fire number and she is a fire sign with a water number.
Okay.
So the element would modify that. Now, if they were both fire signs, fire numbers, it would be scorched earth. I'd agree with you on that one.
Because water can put out fire, which could be very beneficial when somebody's running too hot, right?
Yeah,
so that's a good thing. Yeah.
As I said, when you're taking a hot shower or something like that, but that would be about it. Let me ask you this. When we look at newspapers, they're very general. Yet people, kings, queens, financiers, presidents have all used astrology.
Yes.
And yet they will kind of like for the general public, it's like, oh, and what is your thing about this thing called astrology is a pseudoscience? What haters did that?
I know. And it's even been proven, I hear this a lot and I don't really care to argue with people about it, but
me neither.
And it's just, it works. And the more precise, for example, you have your exact birth time, you go to an astrologer, a competent astrologer. I have to say that because I know Big E Astrology's in here and he would agree with me. There's a lot of people that call themselves astrologers that have not had this experience, the studies, the work, they shouldn't be practicing astrology because they're giving you, and the client wouldn't know any better if they don't know astrology. But it's such a disservice because it's such a precise, it's a science. And
It is. It
when you're
is.
looking at someone's chart, it just comes to life. And the degrees of their chart, the calculations, it's all very precise. So if you read your horoscope, I will say this, find your birth chart, put it up in a free software, find your rising sign or ascendant as it's called, and that's the horoscope you want to read, not your sun sign. Guarantee it will open your eyes so much and you'll say, whoa, that sounds just like me, but my sun sign horoscope, it might resonate with you, and it often will, but the rising sign will always resonate more because that's a precise calculation. That's the degree of when the planets are moving, right? When everything's moving, the whatever planet is rising on the eastern horizon of the sun at the exact moment of your birth, the snapshot of the sky, that is your stamp. That ascendant is so important.
Let me ask you this question too. Whenever there's an issue about astrology, like they were talking about Ophiuchus, the 13th sign, or whatever the case is,
Yeah.
they don't consult an astrologer. They talk to astronomers. Why would you talk to an astronomer about astrology, but they never talk to an astrologer about astronomy?
It's a good
Why
point.
is that?
Well, the astronomers are the ones that are identifying and discovering the bodies in the sky, right?
Okay, makes sense.
So, yeah. So then what happens after that? Like, for example, if you think back to the 1780s, the planet Uranus was discovered, which, by the way, we're going to have a lot more planetary discoveries in this next Pluto through Aquarius era, but I digress as usual. So, see, I already lost my train of thought there.
Yeah.
Oh, Uranus. Right. The planet Uranus, however you want to say it, was discovered in 1781, I believe. And Uranus became then the ruler of Aquarius. But the traditional ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. So Aquarius has two ruling planets, Saturn
exactly right.
and Uranus.
Exactly right.
So we're probably going to see more of that over the next few decades. Now, I don't know if there's going to be anything where we're giving other signs another planetary ruler. I don't really know. But I try not to make myself too bogged down with that because I get very, like, I need to just know everything about it. And then I make myself crazy because then I'll just want to like redirect a technique when I don't need to. You know what I mean?
Well, Big E they don't want us to know about the power of astrology, but what I need from Big E, please, can you put in the comment section what time I am a guest on your show tomorrow? I knew there was something I was supposed to put up because I've been on this show. He is an amazing astrologer. He is awesome. In another part of the country in Arizona, but the guy is just simply amazing.
I love connecting
on his show tomorrow. I forgot the time. If you can put the time and the link, I would appreciate that.
I'll have to tune in.
This is the most common day to be born on, actually, according to research, September the 9th.
Yes.
And oh, by the way, Big E says he would like you on his podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Email me.
Okay, good.
Love that.
So, first of all, wow, Magali, thank you so much for the donation. This is very nice. Oh, she's got a lot of birthdays on here, though. I don't know what's yours. I don't know what's theirs. Oh, there you are. She's born September the 30th, which makes her a Libra 3. Then I guess these are other people closer, maybe children, Andy. What say you as best because you got 4? I would imagine these are maybe the children as well as herself.
I'll say this based in a very basic way, but Trinity is the Virgo, where Richard is the Pisces, right? So that's the Virgo Pisces. That's the opposite. So they're opposites.
I was saying the same thing. Exactly.
So they probably get along, but there's probably always going to be that like frustration because they're both opposite signs are very similar. I always say this. They come to things differently and in their own time, but they come to the same conclusion. They just come at it very differently. That's how I see the opposition, right? So like for Virgo and Pisces, for example, they're both very dedicated to health, healing, and service, but they go about it differently, right? Pisces is more up here, intuitive in the ethers, let's just say, where even the head in the clouds sometimes, where Virgo is more factual and organized, and they are more concerned with data, right? And again, this is just basic off the sun signs, but then we see Andy, who's an Aries, and Magali, who's a Libra. And now we're again
That's
talking about
opposition signs
the
again.
opposition. So yeah, you got all this opposition, which I guess
Yep.
would be great for solving conflict, but I'm sure it could be a little bit of a
And I
contentious
say Andy is
environment.
something else because he's fire.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Every single one of them have a fire number. 3 is a fire number. That's Magali. Andy's a fire number. That's a 9. Trinity is a 9. That's a fire number. And Rashad is a number 1. That's a fire number. So that must be a very interesting household.
Yeah.
Okay. All that fire up in there.
They
So
should
those
have their own
smoking in
show.
bed,
That would be funny.
huh?
They should have their own TV show. They'd probably do really well.
You're
Entertaining.
probably right. You're
Yeah.
probably right. This is another donation. Thank you very much. And speaking of fire, here's another fire, August 9th.
Leo.
So there's so interesting the patterns we're seeing, either certain numbers or certain elements or something. What say you about her? And she's born in the evening, 8:02 p.m. So her son is actually sitting in the 6th house or close to the 7th.
So it's funny. So we have that, we're right under that Leo full moon right now. Even though the moon's moving into Virgo as we speak, pretty much, we're still under that full moon energy. So Elizabeth's probably been really feeling the last 3 days, maybe hyper emotional, having insights come in, thinking a lot about the past, getting ready to make some changes. I feel like there's a move on her horizon, like an actual move, like a move of home or something about remodeling of the home. So I do feel like that's a big thing for you over the next 6 months. But a lot of the changes for you are really going to come in 2026, going into 2027. That's what I feel for you, Elizabeth.
Okay, good. This is when I'm supposed to be on Big E's show tomorrow. You can catch it on YouTube. It's Big E Astrology. I will be on with him at 8 p.m. It's Black History Month, so we're going to be talking about outstanding people during Black history, such as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, whatever the case is. It's going to be a lot of fun. Benjamin Banneker, a lot of other people. Okay, so let me go back here. This is, okay, now this person, unique, is nice, but they only gave the time they were born at 7:34 a.m. Okay, so that lets me know their son was in the 1st house. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Okay, did I do this one? No. It says, Mr. Strayhorn and Miss Salvatore, Joyce is my name, born December 25th, 55 at 4:25 a.m. May I ask what's in? Did we read her? Thanks so much. So. I don't think we did. Yes. No, I don't think so. She's a Capricorn. She's an earth sign with a water number. So what say you about this, Lisa? So
again, I was, it's funny you said water number because I was picking up on her sensitivity also. And Joy, you've been through, forgive me, I'm not trying to be funny, but I feel like you've had very little joy over the last 5 or 6 years. It feels to me like you've definitely been going through this heavier kind of an energy. Pluto was in Capricorn for a while, and you were definitely feeling that energy of entrances and exits in your life, like people coming in, people going out. You might have lost people physically or emotionally, and that could have felt very challenging for you. And I feel like this year and 2026 especially, you're going into that rebirth energy where things are going to start to feel a lot lighter for you.
Excellent. Now, folks, for those of you who want to get more into detail, that is the purpose why I have her banner up, so you can go in to get a more detailed reading. This is very, very important. This is actually, she hasn't even scratched the surface, okay? She's just given what they call, there used to be a thing in sale called sell the sizzle, not the steak. So it's like a wonderful smell when you walk past the restaurant to just get your juices going. So that's what this is about, to be honest with you. It's just very little. Okay, let's see. There is another person I saw. Here we go. Let's see something. Okay, we did August 9th. I saw a Charlie V. Hold on. Let me see where that is. Okay. Okay, well, see, Jamel, this is, they just said hi to both of us, 301, and they are Sagittarius rising. So that doesn't give us the kind of information you would need to do what you have to do.
Well, I would say right now your your ruling planet is Jupiter because you're a Sagittarius rising. And Jupiter is currently in the opposite sign of Gemini. So you're probably feeling like you've had a lot of opportunities, but they're sort of like getting lost in translation or maybe getting a little bit stuck or, you know, not as clear as you would like for them to be. You're not feeling like those opportunities are really gelling. But again, I think that will likely shift for you. You just have to be patient and be more in a state of flow right now because the energy is kind of working. You know, we all have cycles, right? Where the energy is working more for us or against us. And when we try to swim against the current, that's where we get more frustrated. And I feel like I need to say to you, don't swim against the current right now, swim with it, and you'll end up where you need to be.
Okay, now this is Charlie V. This is the one that I kind of lost. It an Aquarius. They're born January the 27th of 1989. It says their moon is in the sign of Libra. So their first decanate wouldn't their first decanate be in the sign of Aquarius too? You know, the
yes.
decans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel like this particular Venus cycle that we've got on deck right now, especially March 1st through April 7th, Charlie's going to be feeling more nostalgic, more emotional. There might even be things coming up regarding the parental structure, the family unit, the family dynamics, parents. And it's almost like you're kind of being forced to stop and really feel into it and not objectify. Don't rationalize your feelings. Recognize that your feelings are there as a reminder for you about what you might still need to work through for yourself. But I do feel like that's what's going to be coming up for you over the next month and a half, especially.
Okay, good. This is another donation. Thank you very much, Unique. Lexi Gonzalez. They are a Libra. Carla, born August 24th. I wonder, I know Unique. I know her. She's going to be on my show in May. But anyway, go right ahead. What say you about Carla, born August 24th?
So you're a Virgo, so you've got the eclipses also impacting your sun, but more of the changes for you are going to be next year. So I want you to think of this year like where you're really doing your homework, where you're really putting things into play and you're following the flow, like I said to the individual before you, following the flow, like when you're getting the green light, you go, and when you're getting the red light, you stop, you honor that, knowing that things will open up for you. But as we get to next year, especially June, July, and August of next year, you will see the clearing. It'll feel more obvious to you and you'll feel more pleased about it. So right now, just again, be where you are, be very present in your experiences, and just know that it will shift next year.
She's a very unique person, which is why she's got the app name Unique. Very much. She's going to be my guest in May. Not that, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. Big E says, preach, Lisa. Big E. Now, Big E's a Virgo. He's born October 10th.
Okay. October 10th or September 10th?
September 10th. Thank you.
Cool.
September 10th. Okay. He's a Virgo 1. Now, this is Tyrone Sutton. They said they were born July the 3rd. I started to say 1776, but that's not true. It's 1976 at 4:30. They don't say whether it's AM or PM. A Gemini, okay. A Gemini and the moon in Virgo. Their life partner is born on the 27th of March. Now, this is interesting. One is an Aries and one is a Cancer. But they both have 5 numbers, though, which is interesting.
So we're dealing with the sun square sun, which, okay, sun square sun is, if you read textbook astrology, it will tell you, oh my gosh, it's devastating. Sun square sun relationships never work out. Yeah. That is so not true. Think of a square, sun square sun. It's like it's spicy, right? And sometimes the heat level is too much and we can't handle it and things break. And it can be bad. It can get feisty and contentious, but it also can be very positive for dynamic growth and for us learning, evolving on our journey here, which is what we're here to do. And we do that through our relationships, right? So also with you as a Virgo moon, you were born, so you're a Cancer with, I guess, your Gemini rising and a moon in Virgo. So that Gemini rising and that Virgo moon, it's going to feel like you're in an internal tug of war, and at times, and you can mentally spin out. So you have to watch that, right? Especially because you're a Cancer, you're very sensitive. So you have to watch that, and that you have to make sure that you're allowing yourself to actually stop and allow and be in the moment, because it seems like you're always ready to go into that next moment. And again, don't try to overanalyze every single energy and emotion that you experience, because you can literally think yourself into a stomach ache. I know a lot of Virgo moons, and they're great. They're fantastic at problem solving. They're wonderfully healing individuals. They love to help people out. But that analytical, you can't analyze your emotions that much, or you make yourself sick to your stomach, especially.
Interesting. Oracle, now she's born on June the 11th. So she's a Gemini. Her ascendant is in Virgo. Her moon is also in Virgo. Ooh, so it's interesting. Both her sign, her moon, and her ascendant is all ruled by Mercury.
Yeah. I was just going to say, very smart, very intellectual, can conversate pretty much about any topic. Extremely intuitive, definitely very intuitive. And I think that you often don't even realize that you're actually speaking through your intuition until somebody looks at you like, how do you know that? And you're just like, I don't know, I'm just talking. But you're picking up on things. You're very quick, and you don't even realize it because you just think it's obvious when it's not. So I wonder if you actually have a career, or one of your hobbies or pastimes has something to do with writing or the media or podcasting, because you'd be great at all of that. You can go in and out of
topics. She wrote a couple of books on poetry.
She what?
She wrote some books on poetry.
Oh, perfect. Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah.
And does tarot cards.
See, a lot of people don't know this, Lloyd. I'm sure you know this, but Gemini energy is very psychic, because if you think about Mercury was the psychopomp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mercury can go through all layers of consciousness to deliver information, but Mercury moves quickly. So that mind goes so fast that you pick things up and you spit them out, and they're very psychic.
Yeah. This is, thank you very much, Yakisi, for the donation. He's the one that's born in Austria. Now I got his birthday. He is September the 12th of 1978, 2:07 a.m.
Okay.
Austria time.
So another Virgo. So
yeah. Isn't that interesting?
For you, I'm going to actually tell you to look back. So I'm going to say, and you don't have to do this now, obviously, but think back to August through October of this past year of 2024. And if there was a theme that was going on for you, like if something happened with your job, if something happened within your family. The reason I'm saying that is because it feels like when we get to the midpoint of this year and going into next year, there's going to be like a continuation of that story, because we're going to start to have these eclipses again. And we had a full moon in Pisces in September of last year that would have brought something to the surface for you. So I just want you to think back to that. It could have been something small. It doesn't have to be anything big. But that's going to be part of the storyline as we move into the remainder of this year.
Yeah, he's in for a busy year too.
Okay.
Now, this is Pearlie Daniels. She says hi to both of us.
Hello.
She loves a reading. She's from Chicago, and she was born at August 18th, 71.
Okay.
So she's fire. That's interesting about the predominance of either elements or signs or birth numbers.
Interesting.
So we're getting a smattering of all three. So what say you about her, this Leo?
Very sensitive soul. Yes, she's a Leo, but I feel like that Leo energy, it only really comes out when she's very comfortable with people, or when she's mad. Honestly, it's like somebody really has to get her mad for her to come out like that Leo. You have a lot of natural confidence, but you don't feel confident. So there's a difference there. So
it's a paradox, like.
Yes. But I want to tell you that you have all of that creative life force energy within you, and you can do whatever you want. You just kind of have to let that confidence situation step off to the side. And remember, I always tell my clients when they're Leo sun, Leo rising, you are a Leo. Go out there, be big, do your thing. Don't worry about anybody else, and don't worry if they're clapping for you. Just do your thing.
Well, believe it or not, here's another Leo, Elizabeth.
Okay.
And now, isn't this supposed to be the date of the portal,
Oh
The
yeah, the
portal?
Lion's Gate.
Yeah, the Lion's Gate.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Where you
So,
go through the portal. What does that mean to you as an astrologer?
well, first of all, the Lion's Gate, I think portals, every day is a portal. That's how I feel,
Yeah,
truthfully.
it got you.
Lion's Gate is
Got you.
actually really connected to the star of Sirius and the rising of the star of Sirius and Egypt and the flooding of the Nile River. This is where the whole story of Sirius comes from. But however, to put it mildly, do I feel like there's very strong energetic openings around this time? Yes, absolutely. But it's not just on the 8th. It's like the end of January through the middle of August. That's where the energy is very heightened. And you'll notice at that time of year, people tend to get more migraines. They tend to get more upset stomachs, ringing of the ears, because the frequencies of the earth are actually shifting and we're opening up to receive information. Think about it like that. So it is actually a very intuitive opening, but I don't believe it's like that day is the Lionsgate portal.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
but
me.
that
That's how I
seems to
feel
be
about it.
the magic day of that day in
Right.
the sign of
Every day is a
Aquarius.
magic day, right? So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
That's not
every
it.
day is a magic day. I feel like we have a more fiery Leo here than the last Leo. I definitely feel that with her energy. She's got more of that feistiness, more of that like go-getter energy and might be feeling a little bit stuck right now. We do have a full moon in Leo. Like I just mentioned, it was early this morning Eastern time, but we're still under that energy.
Yep,
So
yep, yep.
tap into your intuition, Elizabeth. Maybe sit in some quiet reflection tonight. If it's nighttime where you are and you can see the moon, whether it's tonight or tomorrow night, it'd be a great time for you to do that and kind of cleanse and renew your energy to get more clear about your next steps.
Good. I won't keep you much longer, but this is fun. I mean, you just go to this, and I want everybody. I'm going to make sure that I put up a banner again so you can get in touch, and then you have a free newsletter. Is that correct?
I do, yes. I have two
Yeah,
different
we'll
newsletters.
talk
Yep.
about all that.
Mhm.
So, Jay McDonald, here's another fire energy.
Aries.
Yeah, Aries and
So
Leo's been dominating the house in that sense.
just with your basic birth time here, so you are an 11 oh gosh, an Aries, and you are in an 11th house Aries. Yeah. So
That's exactly right. That
right,
would be in
right.
the
So
11th house. Yep, yep.
this tells me that the last 18 months for you, last 2 years, I should say, have been challenging and rewarding because you've really been learning or recognizing where you've had to kind of stand up for yourself more and where you might have been standing up for yourself too much. And also where you might have been letting other people get away with things that you weren't comfortable with. So I do feel like this has been a strong time for you of really coming into that Aries power and that individuality where you're saying, okay, if I want to be in this situation, I'm going to stay here. But if I'm not, I'm going to speak up for myself. So I do feel like there's a lot centered around your throat chakra the last 2 years where you've really been speaking up and speaking out. And now you're sort of recalibrating, you're settling in. Other people might not like your growth, but keep growing.
Yeah, but it's interesting because they're definitely about a year of change this year, no question. Crystal Sapphire, she is another Aries.
So this year, my friend Tristal, we have a solar eclipse on your birthday on the 29th. We've got a solar eclipse in Aries, and I want you to pay very close attention to the time period starting now all the way through, I would say, the end of April, especially with a strong emphasis on the end of this month as to what is coming up for you. Because I think you're in for some pretty big beginnings, pretty big new beginnings that could take you back to where you were starting in April of 2024. So think back to April of 2024. Where were you, especially if it has to do with your work? Because I feel like you're coming into some nice new beginnings. You just have to hang on a little bit longer.
That's interesting because they're both heading into, numerically speaking, a 5 personal year, which denotes a cycle of change.
Huh.
Hopefully a change for the better, which I think is interesting. Libra lady, and we will be bringing this to a close in a moment. This is just going full blast. This person is a Libra 3 person.
I feel a lot of Saturn energy with the Libra lady, and obviously I'm saying psychically, I don't have your birth chart in front of me, but I feel like strong Saturn. This is a strong Saturn individual, so very much focused on what's correct, very much focused on what's right and fairness. And I feel like you've been in situations this last little while where things have not been fair to other people, and you've kind of had to like decipher if you should speak up or just keep your mouth shut. I feel like that's a continuation that's going to keep happening for you over the next few months, with something coming to a head early April, right after that eclipse. So pay attention to that.
Okay, now we have Libra lady born September the 30th.
Yeah, we just did that one.
Oh, I thought so. I would say that sounds a little familiar to me. Okay, Tigua, September the 11th.
Another Virgo. Our Virgos are rocking the house tonight.
Yeah.
So I feel like your mind has been churning so much that I want to tell you to take a rest. And it's okay to take a rest. You don't always have to be productive, especially over these next 2 weeks. I want you to really prioritize your body, your sleep, your mind, your mental well-being, because it seems like I'm seeing like the hamster on the wheel, that you've just been like going, and it's rest is that's just the word I keep getting for you, rest.
And you know what's interesting, because her son actually is sitting in the 6th house too.
The house of health.
Which is a house
Virgo.
of health. Exactly right. Exactly right.
And know that with your son being in the house of health and Virgo being the sign of our health, it's our health of all levels. You're going to be going through a purification process, mind, body, spirit. So just pay attention to what doesn't align with you energetically, and just go into what feels right, what feels good.
Okay, and I do want to thank this person here, Cordy, for the donation. Much appreciated. They didn't give a birthday or whatever the case is. And Mark Matthews says, love this show. Thanks so much. Another Leo. Leos are trying to rule the house today.
Leo, Virgo, Cancer. Those are the biggies tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
What say you? They were born on the 12th.
Okay, so 2:12 a.m. puts you in the 2nd house, I believe, right? Sun in the 2nd house.
Which was
2:12 a.m.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a focus on money and business for you, has been a focus on money and business for you, and will continue to be a focus on money and business for you. But I also want you to remember to prioritize your relationships, so that you're not always working so much that it just becomes all about work. Because when you're doing well, it's kind of addicting, right? Like you want to just keep going and going, because that part of your life feels controllable, where maybe some relationships feel like they're not in the highest vibration. So you're trying to like not go there. But I feel like you're going to find that you're going to have to make that balance this year.
Well, Cordy, who gave the donation, he did submit his birthday. He is born December the 11th.
December the 11th. So we have another Sagittarius.
Yeah, fire. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, Cordy, you're going to get it right, but I need you to know that it's not going to feel easy over the next little while, because as we've got Saturn in Pisces that's squaring the sun. You've got the energy of the nodes in Pisces and Virgo squaring your sun. So that's not bad. It just means that you're being asked to go inward and really genuinely identify what you want for yourself, what makes you feel like the best version of Cordy. And then that's what you want to work toward. But knowing that it's not going to be 100% easy, and it will probably feel lighter as we move into next year.
Good. We're going to do 3 more just quickly, and I'm going to let you breathe, Lisa. Thank you so much. This is Jay Stay. They are born January 25th, 1990, in the evening of 9:25 p.m. So that would be around about the 4th or the 3rd or the 4th house, somewhere around there.
Actually, I feel like, and another Aquarian, January 25th, I feel like this individual will be actually very good with astrology. Like if they wanted to actually study astrology, learn more about astrology.
I would agree.
I feel like
you have all the makings of being a good astrologer.
Yeah. I actually would tell you that even just for self-development, self-help, empowerment, etc. If I were you, I would look into it, because I feel like you'd pick it up real quick. You'd actually surprise yourself. Even if you know the basics, you'd pick it up quite quickly. And it could be very helpful.
You have courses in this, don't you, Lisa?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
My
that's going to be in the banner. So take
yeah,
note, Jay Stay. All right.
my
Good.
spring class is already filled, but my autumn class that I'll be starting around the equinox is I have the wait list that will be out shortly. So
Good. So make sure you take notes and whatnot. All right. So this person is, and we're going to do Edward James, another Leo. He says, can you do one more Leo? They must have felt this.
this full moon's bringing them out,
Yeah. Yeah.
the full moon's bringing them
Definitely.
out. So of course we have more time. We have time for one more Leo. Now, it's interesting to me because this, I think, really pertains to Edward. When you think about the sign of Leo, Leo's ruled by the sun, right? Which is the brightest, large, body of the sky. It's the center of the universe. It's the life force for everything. And then the moon right now, or was just in Leo, and the moon is the shadow, right? And the moon does not rule Leo. So Leo doesn't like to be in the shadow, let's just say, right? So I feel like for you, Edward, for some reason, I'm feeling more than just the Leo sun. I feel like you've got a lot of Leo. So I don't know if you know your chart, but I feel like there's a lot of Leo. And you're being asked to step up and out in a big way. And then also, once you do that, to step aside and let someone else come up and out. So I feel like strong mentor energy for you. Like you'll be mentoring somebody.
Okay, good. And we will have one more. This will be it. They want to know, do you have any advice for them for 25? Malik Thomas, they're born a Taurus, April 28th in DC, and they were born at a 12:20 a.m., which means their sun was sitting in the ninth house.
So this is a very determined person. This is a very dedicated person. And I also feel that this is a person who's very focused on serving others. So I'm not sure what you do for vocation, career, what you do on the regular, your daily life, but it does feel like you're very focused on other people to quite the degree. So with all that Taurus, I would say it's very important for you to really take care of your energy, take care of yourself, do things each day, one thing each day that feeds your body, feeds your soul, like eating your chocolate, getting out into nature when you feel really stressed out. For Taurus, it's really important to be outside, especially with the moon in Taurus, which, by the way, I find, Lloyd, that the moon in Taurus, that's one of my more favorite moon placements because you take the emotional energy and you put it in a sign that's very grounded. And so even when you get hyper emotional, you can bring yourself down. Depending on what else you've got going on in that chart. But find the things that really soothe you, and music also is important for you, Malik. Definitely tune into music and allow that to help you.
You are the best. Now, before we go, I want you to really go into detail about all of your particular services, please. Your website is lisasalvatore.com.
Yes.
Your Instagram is Lisa Salvatore. Your Facebook is Lisa Salvatore Wellness. Your YouTube is at Lisa Sal. One thing, you're consistent. I like that, Lisa.
My name. It's easy, right?
And your course is also Lisa Salvatore /courses. Okay. So take a screenshot, get a reading. I'm going to get mine at one point. And listen, with permission, can I give Biggie Astrology your phone number? Can I pass it on to him, please?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, at one point. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'll do that. Or do you want his? It all depends. Everybody's got their style. Give me their number. I'll give him my number.
It doesn't matter. You can
I'll pass the number on to you, onto him. Okay. So, Lisa, we got to have you back on at some point again.
Definitely.
This was a lot of fun.
It was.
I hope but I have a large family, as you see, and and you have a lot of supporters. There were quite a few that gave you a shout out.
Oh, nice.
There were people that recognized your work and that they had a reading from you. So it's a nice testament. And this way, don't have to be saying, well, Lisa's great, or you got to say, yes, I'm great. I think the response proves that you're great. Okay.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed
Lisa, thank you so much too. All righty. Okay. And anytime, just reach out to me and we'll do that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, everybody. I want to thank Lisa, and don't forget, this is her banner. Please go here. Free newsletter, courses. You can see her Instagram, her website, everything like that. And so definitely get a reading, which you take advantage of. So I got to let you know that got to acknowledge the sponsors. So anyway, our sponsors in let me go back to the top. It's been U-Juice. They come in 3 flavors. There are no GMOs. They're all sugar free. It's just a quality product. And I remember when I was there in about 2019 or something like that, when they were working on this. Now they took it to a whole nother level. And in fact, his wife, Jan, was the one that really started and encouraged them, and they developed into a wonderful product. So please support them by getting their product. Also, Nicholas Brooklyn, Nicole, and Kafunya. I don't know which of them 2 ladies I love the most. They are just so nice, so sweet. They're both, and it's interesting, they're both fire signs too, which I think is interesting. But anyway, they work well together, and I thank them. Also, please, this is the last time, please text to join the class. It's going to be this Friday, Valentine's Day. And to all you ladies out there, by the way, let me say happy Valentine's Day to you. We guys, I don't know what we got to wait to Father's Day. Y'all got to think of something before we get to Father's Day. That's always in June. Okay, so y'all got to be creative, ladies, and come up with what can we do for the guys on those days? Because normally it is we men that take the ladies out. Also, Miss Kimberly, Manifest on Purpose, her podcasts are amazing. She's an excellent storyteller. She reminds me pretty much of Iyanla Vanzant. For those of you who listened to Iyanla Vanzant's podcast before she did her TV show and whatnot, she would give amazing stories that would always have some kind of moral at the end of it. Well, this lady does the same thing, and both she and Iyanla Vanzant are number 4, so that kind of makes sense. Also, in Kuru, who is having his tour beginning in Nairobi, Kenya on the 21st, but go to Eventbrite for that. By the way, for those of you, I will be teaching a course on how to make a living doing this numerology. Is going to be on the 25th. Go to lloyd-strayhorn.com to sign on. That's I've got so many things going on. Lloyd-strayhorn.com. That's LLOYD-STRAYHORN.com to sign on. You'll be sent a questionnaire because we got to qualify you first. We don't care how much money you got. We're going to see how sincere you are, because this is about making this as a livelihood. This is what we're going to do. For those of you who are into newsletters, we also have a free newsletter like Lisa Salvatore. And so you can go here, and we don't sell your mailing list. We don't play that. You know, you ain't going to get no unsolicited mail from people. By the way, this is actually the recording. So beginning, because of Miss Kimberly, not only am I doing the newsletter in writing, but I'm also doing it in prose too. So I'm just speaking about it. And it's, you'll see, hearing it and reading it is 2 different energies, but in essence, it's all the same. Okay. So I do want to thank everyone very much. You'll all have a great weekend. My very special guest, Lisa Salvatore, just showed herself. She was really great. So everybody, y'all be great too. Have a great weekend. On Monday, I'm going to have King Simon. He has an event on the 22nd. And don't forget, tomorrow at 8 p.m., I will be on Big E Astrology. Just go to YouTube, Big E Astrology, and you'll hear us get in the conversation. The brother's brilliant. Just like Sylvia, this brother is brilliant. I got all these heavy duties. They be knocking them out the ballpark, man. It's got great guests. Anyway, you'll all take care. Make sure you have a blessed day, a great weekend. I understand the country is going to be affected by some serious weather conditions. So wherever you are, whatever, just be safe, keep warm. That's all I can say. And make sure you got some food in the pantry too. Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.